Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Ridgecrest City Council. I hope everyone is out there is having a great, beautiful Ridgecrest summer afternoon. We'll go ahead and begin by calling our meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin.
Here.
Mr. Blades.
Present.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Present.
Mr. Heyman.
Present.
We have 4 absent with Mr. Gorman absent tonight. We have 4 present, excuse me.
And one absent.
And 1 absent.
Okay, next item is our approval of our agenda for this evening. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin.
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 absent, motion carries.
Okay, and then we will be going to public comment section on our closed session. Is there any public comment on our closed session? We have 2 closed sessions. One is conference with legal counsel on potential litigation pursuant to Government Code 54.959.9, as well as conference with legal counsel potential litigation pursuant to Government Code 54.959.9. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn into closed session. We'll see you at 6 p.m. Welcome to tonight's meeting. We just came out of closed session. If I can go and ask us to go ahead and begin our regular session, ask everyone to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Captain Dampier, if you would lead us.
Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Councilman Rajaratnam.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Lord, thank you for giving us this day. Lord, thank you for bringing all of us together to discuss the matters which are important to our community, Lord. Lord, bless this community, bless our country, protect them from all evil. Lord, give us your wisdom as we make decisions for this community, Lord. Let our discussions be polite, let our discussions be meaningful and useful to this community. Bless each one of us who are here. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. First item is our attorney's report out of closed session. Martin?
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, council members, 2 items were taken up by the council in closed session. They were both pertaining to potential litigation. For the record, the city manager did participate telephonically, and I did recuse myself from the second item on that agenda. There were no reportable actions taken by the council.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Reed, you are presenting the wastewater plant?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is that we have a presentation by Mr. Reed. Apologies, our city manager, Mr. Strand, is out ill today. Mr. Reed is going to present our wastewater treatment plant update. Go right ahead, sir.
So good evening, council. As you guys know, we've been working hard on the wastewater treatment plant. We completed the 30% design, and we are pushing towards the 100% design. With us tonight, we have our consultant, Mr. Mike Nunley of Mike Nunley and Associates, here to aid us with the presentation and give you an update of where we are.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate the opportunity to present to you all tonight and bring you up to speed on the city's wastewater treatment plant improvement project. It's been our pleasure working with you all over the last 3 years to help bring this project to fruition. So next slide, please. So this will be a fairly short presentation, but I'm glad for any questions or comments that you may have. We'll cover a brief background of the project overall. We'll discuss the progress. We'll give an overview of the treatment process and discuss in particular, some of the architectural and some of the new buildings and new public facilities that the city is planning to build there to serve both the collection system and also the wastewater treatment facility. And we'll talk about the overall project budget and the projected schedule. Next slide. So in 2016, Just to give some background, you all remember many years ago, the city embarked on the upgrade to the wastewater treatment facility. In 2016, an environmental impact report was actually completed and certified by council. And it took about 4 years for the negotiations with the Navy to conclude for the easement for the new wastewater treatment plant facility. And so those easement negotiations took many years. Over that period of time, of course, some regulatory requirements had changed and become more stringent. The city population and city strength of wastewater, as well as the impact of water conservation, had all been realized. And so between October and December of 2020, the city began to look at that 30% partial treatment plant design that was completed in 2016 and 2017, and decided it really needed to be updated. And so we were hired by the city in December of 2020 to help manage that as an extension of staff and provide program management services through design and construction. And then the last update, we talked some about the updated engineering studies that were being developed by the city's design engineer, Provo and Pritchard Design Group or Consulting Group. And those initial studies were finished in March of 2022. So that work all was completed prior to this year, and then we'll dig into some of the current efforts that the city has been working through. Next slide. So beginning April of last year, the preliminary design studies and permitting studies were submitted. The proposals for those were submitted to the city, to city staff for review. And then beginning January of this year, the city began development of the industrial pretreatment program that will help prevent contaminants from getting into the wastewater collection system, and also will help kind of govern what the Navy releases from the collection system. That pre-treatment or source control program began in January. In February and March, the Indian Wells Groundwater Authority completed a feasibility study for a regional water program. And the city's a partner in that. Obviously, the city's primary objective is to treat wastewater, meet regulatory requirements, and be as cost effective as possible with that process. But the city is participating and partnering with Indian Wells to determine if there are higher and better uses of that water, where Indian Wells or another water purveyor may come in and use that water, and could be benefit to everybody in the groundwater basin. So in April, just a few months ago, 30% design was completed for the updated wastewater treatment plant, and then the Provo and Pritchard submitted a proposal for final design, and so that currently was recently authorized and is underway at this time. Next slide, please. So the current treatment process, without digging too much into the weeds, I'll say it's a very robust treatment process compared to what the city uses now. And so the goals are to improve operability, allow the treatment plant operators to have more control over the treatment process, to meet more stringent treatment limits in the future, to help reduce solids handling costs by being able to do things like, for example, the headworks and grit chamber of a treatment facility, those pull out big organics or big inorganics like rocks and plastic and sand and grit, because it's more expensive to pull those out at the front end of the plant, haul those off to a landfill, as opposed to let them get mixed with the biological solids in the treatment process. So we looked at a number of different alternatives with Provo and Pritchard Consulting Group and also with the city, and wound up landing on this, a very robust treatment system with an oxidation ditch treatment facility. Oxidation ditches are very robust. They can handle a wide range of flows and loadings. They're relatively straightforward to operate. They don't require a whole lot of operational control or tweaking, and they have a great track record in the Central Valley. And so that treatment process also has the capability of producing power by converting the biosolids that are collected at the treatment facility with anaerobic digestion into gas. And so the biosolids, the liquid process, everything's really been thought through with this treatment process design. And it's actually quite similar to what was developed in 2016. The big difference is we've added the provision for the city to be able to generate power and help reduce power requirements for this facility in the future. Next slide, please. So just some general notes. The city's existing treatment facility comprises a lot of treatment ponds. The city's new treatment facility will replace a lot of that with new mechanical systems. The current treatment plant can remain in service all through construction. So the good thing is the city staff did a good job of negotiating for space for the new facility. So the existing plant can continue to operate. And there's space for future expansion as well, as you see on the west side of the property. And we made sure that the layout would accommodate large vehicles so that it's a very efficient space and is cost effective, but there's plenty of room to operate. Okay, next slide. So this is just a picture of some of the typical facilities you'll see at a wastewater treatment plant. So the primary clarifiers, oxidation ditches, you'll see these are large concrete structures. It's in an area that's not terribly visible. It's on the naval base, so it's not something that's where the visibility is going to be an issue. But just wanted to give you a sense of what some of these typical treatment facilities and processes look like. Next slide. So we spent time with the project architects who are working with Provo and Pritchard to identify a cost-effective building layout that would give the city everything they need for to deal with obviously the high temperature in the desert, also to maximize the amount of natural light in the facility, keep building costs down, be cost effective, but also make sure we have good insulation. And so, a number of this is a very cost effective kind of exterior. It'll be attractive, but not very expensive. It'll be a professional looking space, but is well suited for kind of the environment out there. And so this shows, one of the first slide was the main operations and administration building. This is one of the shop buildings. So it kind of gives you an idea of vehicles could be stored here. There's also some, maintenance and shop area within this location. So this is one of the other buildings that will be sited there. So the office building itself will be about 6,600 square feet. It includes offices, on-site laboratory for regulatory compliance, training area, conference rooms, an area where the wastewater treatment SCADA and controls system can be located. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And so that's a abbreviation we use to describe the treatment control system. And so all these facilities can be located here with, small kitchen, locker rooms with changing area, shared office spaces that operators can use both for the collection system and the treatment system. And we work closely with city staff on this layout. And then this is for the maintenance building. So this is the second of 3 buildings that will be constructed in addition to the treatment facility itself. So this has, tool storage, maintenance bay, about a 4,000 square foot building, but there's plenty of area for parts storage, tool storage, to kind of protect those tools and parts, keep them out of the environment, and also a vehicle maintenance bay. And then this is for storage of various city vehicles and large equipment, things like the Vector truck that the city uses to clean storm drains, the CCTV trailer that's used to video inspect sewer collection system pipelines, and various construction equipment like backhoes and skip loaders, and allow you to keep those out of the elements and take care of them. So the projected project budget at this point, so we're looking at about, the total project cost, not including the contingencies, is about $79 million, including about a 20% contingency on the construction cost. It's about a $93 million budget. The city has been aggressively looking into grants and loans and federal funding, is working with various consultants and lobbyists to do that. And so there are opportunities for funding out there. Participating in the regional recycled water program with Indian Wells is also a great way for the city to position for funding. And so the city staff is kind of shaking every tree to find opportunities to help pay for this. So the overall project schedule, so permitting is currently underway, design is underway. The construction of the project is anticipated to begin next year, third quarter 2024, and then to extend through first quarter 2027, with the goal of being in operation and being in startup first quarter 2027. So I know I covered a lot of material pretty fast, and it's always tough to tell if folks can understand it when I'm talking remotely. But I'm glad to answer any questions you might have.
Well, Mike, first let me thank you for your work and for presenting this to us. I think for some of us, this is the first time we're seeing the larger scale of what the processes came to. I don't have a lot of questions, as I know we're moving forward in terms of progress. We still got a year's worth of discussion, some times going on here. 2-year construction window. That I didn't expect that it would. Is that a bold estimate, or is that how long these things are taking normally to get built out?
Yeah, the big challenge on a project like this is its lead time on equipment. So the concrete, the earthwork, those sorts of things, it doesn't typically take as long as the lead time on some of this treatment equipment. Some of the lead time on treatment equipment can be, it can be 6 months, 8 months. And so about a 2-year plus or minus time frame is pretty typical for a facility this size. It's not a large plant, but it's a 3 million gallon a day treatment facility, which is kind of the sweet spot for a lot of plants in California.
So, and just to add to that, we have some electrical components for the project we're doing for the Solar Stage structure. The original lead time we were given on a lot of those components was above 60 weeks. So that kind of puts things into perspective a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, just a year plus. Okay. I have no other questions. I'll go and defer to my counsel. Doc, anything?
Oh, yeah, and it has to do with the collection of methane. Sorry to jump right into it. Really, that I did see the portion you talked about being able to produce energy on site. I know that there are some other communities that produce enough methane to collect to eventually use for other purposes, not just powering the plant. And I guess what I'm asking you to do is to read the crystal ball and see if we know that there's going to be enough produced there that we could do something to that effect, or is it just enough to run the plant as it is?
So it's a very good question. So part of the analysis that Provo and Pritchard went through and we worked with them on was to look at how much could you offset plant power usage in the future with biogas by generating biogas and then converting that with to power. And the estimate was around 60 or 70, might be able to replace somewhere between 40 and 60% of the plant's power usage with biogas. And so it doesn't quite give you enough to be able to generate like a biofuel, like for vehicles and other uses, but it could be a nice offset to the power you'll need to use in the future because your power cost is going to be higher than it is now. Because it is a more mechanical facility, you're meeting a higher level of treatment, but it again that will help with that.
Thank you, sir. And Travis, if I remember correctly, there was hopes that we could offset the rest of solar.
There was hopes, and we are currently working with Navy staff to try to find alternatives to that. But with how power consumption is out there and with what their solar produces, solar may not be the most promising way to go, but we are looking at other options currently for offsetting power use.
Yep, okay, thank you. I don't want to harp on it too much.
Yeah, solar was going to be my question too.
Sure, and
you hit that one now.
Yeah, I've seen at least portions of this brief before, so I understand kind of where we are. That was a question that was looming in my head about. Thank you for answering the question.
Okay. And again, for the public, thank you for the presentation, Mike. Thank you, Travis. We're moving forward. There's a lot of time still here. If you have any questions or you have any thoughts on any part of the presentation, please feel free to reach out to any one of our council members, City Manager Strand, Mr. Reed. Any one of us will be happy to address your questions. Okay. Thank you, Mike. I don't think there's any other questions. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Next item on our agenda is public comment of items not on the agenda. Persons wishing to address the council on matters that are within the council's jurisdiction and do not already appear on the agenda may do so at this time. Council will not respond to any public comments but may provide direction to staff to collect information. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not act on any item that does not appear on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes and the public comment section of the agenda is limited to 1 hour. Do I have any public comment from the floor? Seeing none, do I have any public comment? Oh, okay, there's one. Yep,
Hold on a second.
go ahead, sir.
Get my screen. Oh, man. Oh, please don't. Yeah, I can't. Okay. My name's Mike Sinnott. I'm going to predict that the city of Ridgecrest will not be using Placer AI now or any time in the future. And I want to thank Councilman Scott Heyman for using discernment and showing leadership by stopping the implementation of Placer AI's geolocation and tracking system in the city of Ridgecrest. I'm holding a document that explains why the city won't be using Placer AI. I've also given I haven't given it yet, but I will be. I'm going to give each of our council members an article with a grade like the old days, A, B, C, D, and F. Councilman Blades will get the most important document today. It was declassified by the officer of. You have any comment?
Please, make your comments,
Okay.
man. Go ahead.
It was declassified by the Officer of Director of National Intelligence on July 5th, and it's a 48-page report from the Senior Advisory Group and the panel on commercially available information. This is what it's all about. It's all about you and where you go and your freedom to travel and associate without others and the prying eyes of law enforcement or politicians knowing your every move. I don't think I'm going to read my remarks. I'm so disappointed in this council and Councilman Blades. You should have known better. I warned you, and yet you persisted. I would like to know whether or not you reported this to base security or NCIS. Not going to answer?
I think, Mike, that I have a lot to say, but I can't.
Why not?
The Brown Act?
The Brown Act has nothing to do
It
with
does.
this.
I don't need to ask you clarifying questions. I fully understand Placer AI. I work for the Department of Defense. I don't need to engage here.
Why would you press this software on the citizens of Ridgecrest?
I'm not
Is it on
engaging. I'm
behalf?
not engaging with you,
Is it
Mike.
on behalf of the DOD?
Lord.
What do you mean, oh Lord?
Jeez.
You should know better. Seriously. Here's the report. Read it. This is for Councilman Heyman. It's in the Wall Street Journal article. This is for Mayor Broom. An article on FBI surveillance. This is for Councilman Rajaratnam. Residents pushing back against the city council in San Diego for surveillance. And this is for Councilman Gorman because he's wise. A genealogy of, it's called a genealogy of corporatism. It's not capitalism. It's not socialism. The new word we are hearing these days is the right word, corporatism. It refers to the merger of industry and state into a unit with the purpose of achieving some grand vision and the end of liberty of individuals. The word predates its successor, which is fascism. But the F word has become totally incomprehensible and useless through intense misuse that there is clarity to be gained by discussing the older term. And I want to give this to Councilman Gorman because he's wise and has discernment. Now, I'll close it. I think if each one of you will read the ODNI report, you'll understand the threat. It describes exactly what I warned Councilman Blades about, and there's a reason why it was released and declassified.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment from the floor?
I'll get there in a minute. You're fine. Hang on. Hi, my name's Vanessa Brookman. I just wanted to talk about, last month, the city manager stated that he would follow the council's recommendation as far as trash pickup and the frequency of it. But he also said that he felt y'all were teaching us how to use the organics bin and how to recycle, and that we weren't smart enough to read the documentation we've been given, follow the instructions on our own. So that's why he didn't want to re-up the weekly trash pickup, because people would be lazy and just throw everything into the trash can. I'm paraphrasing, but this is exactly what he said. I'm offended by that. I think every resident here, including the council, should be offended by that. Eric has posted numerous times how well his family has done. I moved here a year and a half ago from LA County, and I have 2 large recycling bins, 1 trash bin, and now 1 organics bin. I have a garbage disposal. I have 3 dogs. Last week I had half a bag. I use the compostable bags. I had half a bag. My average is 1 bag a week. And then some weeds. That's it. That's all that goes in there. It's not enough, at least in my house, to require the implementation. I know that it's a state law. I know, but you're my representatives before the state, so please don't shake your head at me. My problem with what the city manager said was, let's play it out through the summer and see how it goes. I would implore you to change that. Don't play it out through the summer. It's hot. There's flies. People are getting maggots. It's really great. I don't, because I keep my stuff inside a refrigerator bin until the night before the trash goes out. Not everybody can do that. If you have a family of 5, you may not have extra space in your refrigerator for chicken bones. I do. But I think you should re-implement weekly trash pickup for the summer, then readdress this in the fall if you need to. But having adult diapers and children's diapers amongst dog excrement and everything else that has to now go in the black can, which in LA County, by the way, goes in with the yard trash. It goes in with your yard trimmings and your leaves with the dog excrement. And I've made that post a number of times in that comment. So I don't know why it's so different here, but it is. It's special. Kern's special. So I would really ask that you flip it, at least flip it, and have the trash pickup weekly during the summer months to avoid the critters that are already here. And it's only July. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other public comment from the floor? Seeing none, we'll go public comment from the phones. I believe there's one on. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, hello. This is Tom Wicknick. Real quickly, on the presentation you just got on the wastewater treatment plant, I had a couple questions, and of course we weren't able to ask them then, so I'll ask them now. First, the slides went through very quickly there, and I can't remember for sure now, but the one where it had the budget information and it had the 20% contingency, I thought above that line there was another 20% contingency in the total of the funding or the cost estimate there. I just just went real quick, and I thought I saw it. I'm not 100% sure on that, so there was like a two entries of 20% contingency on that budget chart, I think. Not sure. Second one was we've been hearing about a 30% design for a long time, many years now. My question would be is, when are we going to hear something that's not 30% and we start moving over towards something higher number than that, especially seeing as how we might be breaking ground, I hear it, by next year, which is, wow, that surprised me. And then finally, was that cost estimate including anything like tertiary treatment or anything like that? Those are the questions I have about the presentation. I don't know if you want to answer them now or what you would like to do, but I'd like to get answers to those questions.
Anything else, sir?
That's it for the questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm going to have a member of staff reach out to you, and we'll get to the presentation and address your questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do I have any other callers on the phone? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to our next item, which is our council announcements and direction. So very quickly, Travis, if you could address Mr. Wicknick with the presentation, that would be appreciated. I do know that just addressing the one item, which was the 30% mark, in the presentation, Mr. Nunley clearly stated that we had reached the 30% mark in 2017, and then a decision was made based on the earthquakes and based on the progress that needed to be made as Sigma came on, as the groundwater stuff happened. We had to go back into the design process, and we just came back to the 30% mark. So it was addressed in there. And trust me, if you think you've been hearing wastewater for a long time, I've been hearing it for 2 decades. We'll go ahead and get that addressed. And then thank you to our other speakers. I appreciate the sentiments. SB 1383 does mandate weekly organic service. I don't have an option with that. That is a state mandated law. No, I know. I'm just addressing that organics. I understand. I'm addressing that organics is required to be weekly. And the only other one I wanted to do is I want to take a moment. She's in the audience. A lot of people may or may not have had a chance to meet her, but our new SSUSD superintendent, Miss April Moore, is joining us this evening. Welcome to our community. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you here many more times. The city of Ridgecrest and the SSUSD has had a long-standing great relationship between providing the school resource officers and all the other programs that we work together on. And I look forward, the city looks forward to working with you for many years to come, and welcome to Ridgecrest. Do I have any other council announcements? I'll begin with Mr. Heyman.
No comments.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
None.
Mr. Blades.
I know, just it's good to be back. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting. I'm not sorry that I was on vacation. It was nice to unplug, and I didn't even have cell service for most of the time. I did catch the last meeting, so that was a good one to miss, I guess. But I did spend a lot of I was frustrated at my phone because there was a lot of perspective I felt I could have added. I was a part of a lot. I held the 2 trash town halls. I've done a lot of the conversations back and forth with Waste Management and with our staff on just digging down deep. I know more about SB 1383 than I want to know, probably more than is healthy. And I was frustrated with myself that I wasn't there, so I apologize to the community for that because, we feel it when somebody's not up here because we all do something different. We all add perspective in some way, shape, or form, and that was something that was lost and was missing in the last meeting. But I'm glad to be back.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next item is our consent calendar. We have 7 items on our consent calendar today. I will go ahead and read each item. Oh, you were timing? Oh, sorry.
She was
like,
timing.
Why is it beep?
Wrap it up.
Item number 1 is proposed action to approve draft minutes of the Ridgecrest City Council special meeting dated July 10th, 2023. And item number 2 is a resolution to approve the FY 23-24 rate adjustment request for solid waste services. Number 3 is a resolution of the Ridgecrest City Council authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Sierra Sands Unified School District for law enforcement services, our school resource officer program. Number 4 is a resolution reaffirming and approving the annual investment policy. Item number 5 is a resolution approving the project list for fiscal year 23-24 for the California State of Good Repair program for the electric transit van replacement. Item number 6 is authorization for the city manager, Ron Strand, to sign the notice of completion for the replacement of the existing partitions located at the Kerr-McGee Community Center, for the city clerk to file the notice of completion, and for city staff to release retention in the amount of $43,470.55 to the contractor, Horizons Construction Company, within 30 days after recordation. And item number 7 is authorization for the city manager, Ron Strand, to sign the notice of completion for the painting of the caps of the City Hall and Kerr-McGee Community Center, for the city clerk to file a notion of completion, and for the city staff to release retention in the amount of $2,568.75 to the contractor, KC Martin Construction, within 30 days after recordation. Does any member of the council wish to have an item pulled?
Item number 2, please.
Item number 2. Any other items? Does any member of the public wish to have an item pulled? Item number 3.
And Mayor, prior to approval, I have a couple of adjustments on them, if
Okay.
I could, please.
Go right ahead.
On item number 6, for the resolution, in the first whereas, it states replacing the flooring, and it should be replacing the partitions, so I will be changing that. And then on item number 7, on the notice of completion, it says Bentley Mills, and it should say KC Martin Painting, so I will be changing that.
Okay.
Somebody pulled item 3, right? Did I hear that? Okay,
Two.
thank
Yes,
you. I was going to pull, I was lost in thought, but yeah.
Oh, yes. Item number 2 and item number 3 have been pulled. Item number 6 and item number 7 were amended with the 2 small amendments. Do I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar with the revisions as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Brun,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, our first pulled item is item number 2, a resolution to approve the fiscal year 23-24 rate adjustment request for solid waste services. Mr. Rajaratnam.
Thank you, Mayor. I pulled this item to clarify a couple of issues. In the last city council meeting, not the last one, the one before that, this item came for city council approval. At that time itself, I said, I understand the increase in the cost requirement because everything is going up. But my concern at that time was the quality of service being provided by the waste management to our public. So the rates are going up. I mean, Water District has increased the rates, PG&E, even postal stamps have gone up. So that's not an issue that should not be an issue for anybody to increase the deserved cost of living increase in the waste management rates. But I read the contract, so the 6% increase requested by waste management, it's a contractual obligation for the city council, which means I read word by word the entire contract 3 times. I did not find anything to link the performance to the increase in the cost of the prices. So I realized we cannot link the performance to the increase in the cost, which is a contractual obligation. So, but in the last meeting, I wasn't ready to vote for the increase unless the quality of waste management services was addressed at that time. So that meeting really started a conversation in our community. People started talking about the quality of the service provided, and also there were comments whether to go back to weekly solid waste pickup. So having that conversation is very important to make sure we get the best service from waste management. So after last meeting, I spoke to so many citizens, and most of them said, since that time, the quality of service has improved, and waste management probably realized that they are not providing the service expected by our citizens, and their schedule of pickup is regular, and then they were very communicative. I mean, they were responsive. That's what I heard from the public. So I want to assure the community that we would continue this dialogue to make sure waste management provides the superior quality of service to our citizens. So that's one issue I wanted to address. And the second issue is I want to thank Ms. Weston for your article in the Daily Independent about the rate increase. And that prompted some citizens to call me, what is this rate increase? How is it going to work? So I just want to clarify. Megan, you may want to step in if needed. So in the contract, there is a ceiling of 6%, and then there is a floor of 0%. So for this year, the number worked out to 9.1%. So, but as per the contract, we can increase only up to 6%. So the remaining 3.1 rolls over to next year. And next year, suppose the contract, as per the price increase, they use a multi-index module to increase the prices. So next year, suppose if that comes to around 7%, so we have 3.1 from this year and 7% next year, 10.1, but we can increase only 6% then. So then again, that 4.1 rolls over to next subsequent year this will not happen. Let's say there is a depression and then the prices have gone down, the calculation comes to negative 3%. So then 4.1 minus 3 would be 1.1. So that would be the increase for the third year. So this goes on till the contract ends, which is 10-year contract. So at the end of the 10-year contract, if any residual is there, that will be invalid. So I just want to clarify so that people understand how this increase is going to work. So there is a ceiling of 6%, there is a floor of 0%, which means your prices, my prices are never going to decrease in this 10-year period. So am I right, Megan? Okay, so I just wanted to clarify those two things. Mayor Bruin, thanks for your time.
Any other council member comments? On item number 2? Any public comments on item number 2? Understood, of course. No?
I fell going out to my trash can, by the way, if that makes any difference at all. It's true. So what you just said was a lot. That was a lot of numbers, right? That's a lot. Have you ever had a company when the cost of living, say, doesn't increase, that they say, you know what, we're not going to charge you $80 this quarter. We're going to drop the rates now, and it's only going to be $70 because fuel's gone down. I mean, obviously, wages would never go down, nor should they. I don't want to be out in that heat working. I spent a lot of time at Chiquita Canyon Landfill. That's where I'm from. I was the president of the Oversight Committee for Chiquita Canyon for 10 years. So I'm very familiar with how landfill works and specifically how waste management works. And I was pro-waste management then, I really was. Coming here, again, special Kern County, it's different. It's different. Just 2 weeks ago, my organics bin didn't get picked up. I went online to try to, put in for a missed bin or what have you. And I'm sorry, it was 3 weeks ago. You can't. The only bin that you can request on their website is for your solid waste, is for your black can. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed, that the council could have them pick and choose what cans were missed because I had to then put my bag back in the refrigerator for another week. No harm, no foul, but I'm paying for this service now, so I want the service. The other thing that I was going to mention was you said in the contract that there's no tie with the increase to service. Service, though, is their end of the contract. So by not performing the services that are promised to us, they're in then breach of contract. So technically, you can do a lot more than not approve their hike. I'm very concerned about giving them more than just this year's increase. Does everybody deserve a COLA increase? Yes, sure, okay. But they just bumped us so much last year. Now we're getting bumped again, and they're already asking for half of next year's bump too. In LA County, where I lived most of my whole life, but I'll just go the last 10 years, I had one increase in 10 years from Waste Management, and I had 3 separate cans that were picked up every single week. Recyclable, trash, and yard. And it was the same price that we're paying here. So I don't get it. I just don't understand it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other public comment on item number 2? Any public comment on the phones? Okay. I'll bring it back to the council. Is there any other council comments? Okay.
No, hold on. I guess,
Okay.
sorry, I was taking some notes as Vanessa
We're
was
still
talking.
just only addressing item number 2.
Yep, got it. And just so that, one thing I wanted to say was I did, not while I was on vacation, but I have before, and I brushed back up on looking over the contract and what that looks like. And it's, I'm just kind of addressing your statement. Waste Management has, so let me say first, I don't like, our job up here is not to set up and defend companies or corporations, and I hope that doesn't come off that way. But I do think it is our jobs to understand when we enter any kind of a contract that we should be able to explain ourselves and why we're there and what's going on. And if we can't, then we look at the staff for the answers, and that happens. That's okay. Nobody can know everything. So just to address your statement, I think what keeps Waste Management out of something like a breach of contract is because they do address within a certain amount of time whatever those grievances are. And at least within what I've personally experienced and with the people that I've dealt with, because I've been treating myself as an intermediary. So if members of the public have an issue, I was passing those along directly to Waste Management, like here, screenshots, text, phone calls. I was going to Ashley, hey, we got these issues. And so they were all being resolved really quickly. So don't take that as like I'm not wearing a Waste Management hat. It's just I think that's how you get around that issue of there's no breach of contract. The rest of my comments are this: while performance is not on what we're talking about tonight, it isn't like as a community, as Solomon said, that we shouldn't be discussing it. And I know Waste Management is open for the discussion. It isn't like they're hiding from those talks. So I guess, Mr. Mayor, is there and maybe this is saved for the end of the meeting for future agenda items, but I would love to discuss about maybe holding another. I held a few town halls at the beginning of the SB 1383 implementation, and I wouldn't mind doing something to that effect again, but we can discuss that at the end if I'm getting too close to the Brown Act there.
No, we can go and discuss it.
Okay.
I think we're fine right now because we already intend that. We've already reached out to Waste Management as an intention to bring them to the city org meeting.
Well,
Yeah, I'll address from up here rather than from the audience. My apologies to everyone. That's not a dialogue for up here.
well, just
No,
so I wasn't aware of that.
No,
but-
let me be clear. So we are already making a request for Waste Management to come back to City Org on August 4th, and we'll have a public discussion there at City Org, and that will then lead to another trash town hall. But we're going to do the trash town hall again. We'll inviting Waste Management to come and address specifically the performance issues and be able to address citizens, provide the phone numbers, many of the information that was done previously. This entire conversation was done in much larger scale at the June City Org meeting for nearly 2.5 hours with Waste Management and what they were doing, what their challenges were with their staffing and trucks delivery and what they were going through, and they addressed it with the city. And I was generally satisfied that I knew that they were working on the service issues. I had them at my home too, just like anybody else did. And, I had plenty of conversations looking at my wife and saying, I get it. Just make a phone call. I'll make a phone call to get picked up tomorrow. Then I put myself on the text messaging, and I put myself on the alert systems and everything else, and those were very effective. But the simple fact is that we're going to bring them back to City Org, and the reason is because we're going to talk performance. Performance and contract are two separate issues. Contract is an obligation the city has in a negotiated contract, and one of the things that we talked about from pricing is you guys have, the citizens should understand that we negotiated that contract through 2021. So many of the inflationary staffing costs, fuel costs, operating costs, many of those things, those weren't negotiated into the pricing point yet, which is part of the reason why you're seeing the 9.1 request compared to the 6 cap. Regardless, to have them, to open the contract back up would be, I think it would be amount to shooting ourselves in the foot from a cost perspective. Anybody who saw the county's proposal and the city's price proposal and the two differences between them, that should be a glaring enough difference to understand what weekly service, and if we had to reopen to renegotiate the contract under 2023 cost terms compared to 2021 cost terms, what that may look like. So we're separating contract from performance. We agree with our citizens wholeheartedly that there has been some errors with the performance, but I also would reiterate the same things that Councilman Rajaratnam and Councilman Blades have said, which is that they have been working very hard to make the improvements in that service, and we have seen that. And we have heard improvements from our citizens in the scheduled pickups and things of that nature. So we'd rather have it come back and have the conversation and have it present, and we'll do that first at City Org, and then again as a trash town hall in August, again to address performance issues. Okay? And with that, I will go ahead and call, do I have a motion for approval of item number 2?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Just before you take a vote.
Public comment was completed.
Okay.
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, next item is item number 3. Item number 3 is the resolution for the authorized city manager to enter a memorandum with the Sierra Sands Unified School District for school resource officer. Mr. Blades.
Yeah, Vanessa, did you want to go first? I just have some general comments. I didn't.
Well, no, I do council, public,
Okay, sure.
council.
Yeah, no, my comments are this, that it's one of the greatest agreements we've entered into for this community that I've experienced. And you, Captain Nebier, you don't have to come up here, but I know that I've talked to your resource officers. I've talked to school administrators. And that early relationship that are all positive, good relationships that students are getting. I mean, they're playing basketball with police, on the courts. If they have questions, if they have problems, these are chances for officers to recognize if something's wrong, to be able to go right to the administrators. And I mean, it's such a good way for our community to keep our police force involved in a deeper way. I've said it before up here, and I mean it. We have a good police force. We have a very good PD because they're so much a part of the community. They're constantly. I mean, we see police officers in the grocery store. So many of us know them by their first name. If you have a problem, a lot of people in Ridgecrest are not afraid to walk up and say, "Hey, man, I have an issue," right? And I think that the more we as a community, emphasize that, the better. And so I just want to express my appreciation, of course, Captain, and of course to the school district as well for any of that agreement, because I think it's so positive. It's a great thing. That's all I have.
Okay. Any other council comments? I don't have any. Right.
But I would like to just kind of tag along there with Councilman Blades. I think it's a really positive contribution to our schools or is that better?
There you go.
Okay. But anyway, I've spoken with a couple of the officers in years past and a couple of the students on incidents that were positively handled with from the having the law enforcement officer on site. And so I just want to say I think it's a really positive contribution to the city.
Okay. Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and go. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, you should just grab a seat over there.
There's plenty of empty seats right at front.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, Vanessa again. I, too, appreciate officers being on campus, any campus, all campus. I think in this day and age, it's been proven more time and time again that it's not only nice to have, it's a necessity. Positive influence is one aspect of it, but security and the thought that a parent can send their child to school knowing that there's more than just teachers, I am so sorry, looking out for them, is also positive. My only question was, and I didn't bring the papers with me that I printed out, so it was just a clarifying question. There's going to be 2 officers, and they're asking that the city pay 50% of that cost, but that cost was $164,000 or $168,000.
165.
It was a lot.
That's for 2.
That's for 2.
Okay, so I thought the 164 was the 50% they were asking for. That's how it read to me. So
It is the 50% of 2.
It reads weird.
It just reads weird.
is the city spending 80-something thousand, or are they spending 165,000?
We're spending 165.
So $320,000 for 2 officers?
Yeah, when you factor in insurance, fully burdened, pension, insurance, all above.
Okay, well then I read it right. Okay, is that the normal going? So $220,000 is for the overages a year? If they're making $80,000-ish, right, which they're probably not.
Yeah, I don't know where that number's coming from.
I'm just talking officer numbers, usually between $60,000 and $80,000 is an annual salary. So then, okay, maybe not in Ridgecrest, Kern is special. I don't know what they make here.
How about this? I would make a really strong argument that since 2020, the price for officers has went up quite significantly.
Sure, okay, that's good. So that just seems like a lot of money to me, that's all. That's all, and I wanted to clarify the numbers, that what I was reading was really what it was costing. Yeah, good thing we like them in the schools.
And that's why we love having them in the schools. It's good to have 'em. Any other public comment from the floor? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back. Just to reiterate, I also am fully supportive. Technically, I'd love to see 2 more if I could. So, I mean, I'd love to see more officers than less officers in our schools. But the fact that we're able to manage 2 is fantastic, and continuing that agreement. And do I have a motion for approval of item number 3?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruen,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam,
Aye.
Mr. Heyman,
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Okay, next item on our agenda will be our regular item, which will be item number 8. This is a proposed approval of increased appropriations to the fiscal year 23-24 budget for the Human Resources Risk Management ISF Fund. Hello, Sheree.
Good evening, Council. So yeah, this is a request for increased appropriations for our Human Resources Internal Service Fund. We are requesting $65,000 for an increase in our insurance premiums. We didn't find out about that until after the budget process. And then we are requesting $200,000 for a number of unplanned employment separations, which were not known during the budget process. These funds are going to be coming from the fund reserves, which we estimated at $1.9 million during the budget process.
Okay. We'll begin with council comment. This is moving money between buckets.
Yep, that's my only comment. This just seems like housekeeping.
It is.
This is housekeeping. This is moving money between buckets. So I have very little comment. This is SOP, insurance, everything's more expensive.
So I'm guessing this went through finance?
Yes, this went
committee?
through finance first.
Finance.
Yes, finance met on it. I don't know, we met, was it already just last week? Jeez. I know, it just doesn't feel like it was last week. We met last week. And reviewed it and understanding from a reserves perspective, minimal impact on reserves, much more just moving buckets between, monies between buckets.
Sherry, I just noticed something. I'm sorry. 1 second, give me. So the total is 265, right?
Correct.
So the resolution, second, whereas from bottom, it says additional 65 for insurance and additional 150. Should it be 200 then?
Yes, it should. I apologize.
Okay, we need to make that correction then.
Change the 150 to 200?
200, yeah.
Thank you.
Whereas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Heyman?
No comments.
Okay. Is there any public comment from the floor? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the phones? Are we sure the phone number is flashing there just to make me happy? Thank you very much. I just want to make sure that it shows up every periodically. Thank you for doing that. Hearing no public comment on the phones or the floor, we'll bring it back to council. I have no further comments. Do I have a motion for approval of item number 8, the increased appropriations for fiscal year 24-25?
Motion to approve.
Sorry.
We have 3 simultaneous motions.
Yep.
We have motion. Who wants the second? Who wants the first and who wants the second?
I'll second it.
Scott took the first. Okay, you two.
No, Solomon said it.
Solomon got the first. Okay. Okay, that's it. Oh, roll call.
Mayor Bruin.
Aye.
Mr.
I
Blades.
remembered.
Yes.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
I remember before I move forward, and that is what, that was with the amendment for the 200,000. The one whereas. Okay, item number 10 is discussion and proposed action to approve a resolution designating a voting member and alternate to attend the League of California Cities Annual Conference and represent the city of Ridgecrest. The League's annual conference is coming up in September from the 20th to 22nd in Sacramento.
Is this one me, Ricka?
This is, you are the primary voting delegate.
I said no if you wanted me to talk about League of California Cities at all, or?
You may, sir. Go right ahead.
I'm going to defer to you.
Yes, sir, you may. And then we'll go on with the.
And we'll go ahead and go to Mr. Blades.
My apologies.
No,
I
you're
didn't mean to jump the gun.
You're fine.
So the League of California Cities is our advocate for all cities within the state of California. I have been our delegate since it might have been, I wonder if Mr. Maurer passed that off right away.
I think you did.
He sure did, since 2019. It has been a pleasure. I've learned a lot, I'll say that. I do enjoy going to, sitting down with other council members and mayors from other communities is enlightening, to say the least. The problems they face are often a lot more amplified, a lot more intense, and more divisive than what we feel in Ridgecrest. And I think it's just, we probably maybe keep our fingers more on the pulse here in this community, but who knows? I don't need to jinx it. It's coming up in September. What it is, it's an annual conference where the league will filter through its committees with amendments are going to champion. And so there needs to be each city, if you're a member of the League of California Cities, will have a voting delegate there to vote yea or nay. So when there is a package handed down from the league, which they eventually will say, okay, this is what we are going to propose, then I will bring that, of course, or Ricka will probably receive it at this, probably before I even receive it. And I will discuss it, and I'm always open to public input, council input, and take my vote up to, I don't know if I think it's up in Sacramento this year.
This
It might
year,
be
yeah, it's in
It's up
Sacramento.
in Sacramento. So I think it was in Long Beach last year. I'm the primary, and I think that we can have a second.
We can, and not only along with you going, Mr. Gorman has elected to go and is registered for the conference. So if you would like to appoint him as your secondary in your absence, if something was.
Council, are you on board with
You're
that?
attending the conference, I assume, yes?
I will be there.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless I know I'm not able to attend, I don't believe either of my colleagues on the left or right are attending. The
Okay.
most logical would be for you to be our voting delegate and Mr. Gorman to be our alternate.
Sounds good to me.
Whoever is absent can be volunteer.
Right, if something comes up or I get sick or
Yeah.
who knows.
It's more, he's at the conference also. If some reason something happens and Kyle can't make it, then Skip steps in that absence.
Yep. There's always usually some pretty lively debate, I'll say that. And you get a lot of good viewpoints.
So I would just ask, just for clarification, have you seen the alternates in there
Oh, yes.
anyways? So
Oh, yes.
Mr. Gorman can go and
He can-
learn a lot
and they-
also,
they
so that would
actually-
be a good thing.
You end up getting partitioned, at least every time I've been, into these big areas. So you have the general conference, everybody's behind. You step in front of a partition because you have a lanyard that says, I'm a voting delegate with a
delegate.
sticker, and then you move forward, and then you sit at tables. And then eventually they have a bunch of microphones set up, and you'll go forward, and you'll debate, and then vote.
Again, I'm perfectly content with that, so.
All right, sounds good.
Do I have so I was discussion, I do need to ask for public comment.
I'm open to any, like, if there's any public questions about the League of California Cities, I'm open to those questions. Anybody who has a question for me?
We're about to find out. Is there any public comment? I'm sorry, Kyle, but nobody has any
I'm used,
questions
this is the
for
same
you.
answer I get every year, so I know. I'm an intriguing person.
I mean, I gave the opportunity, but
No, that's all right. That's all right.
we'll bring it back to council. Do I have a motion for?
Is this
the
just
appointment
direction?
Of,
No, it's a resolution I have
it's
to
a
submit to
resolution,
the league.
appointment for Mr. Blaze as our primary and Mr. Gorman as our alternate.
I'm not gonna
Motion
myself.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades,
Hi.
Mr. Rajaratnam?
Aye.
Mr. Heyman?
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Enjoy. Good luck. Represent us well. Then item number 10 is discussion regarding the board of the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Mr. Heyman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Groundwater Authority did meet on July 12th. We had a rather short meeting. We had one, item number 9 was a review of proposed communication and engagement work plan. And so that's referred to as the C&E plan. So that did not require any board action, but did get the nod of the board as a unanimous approval. Item number 10 was the approval of memorandum of understanding between the Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority, Bureau of Land Management, and Provost and Pritchard Consulting Group for preparation of an environmental assessment for the imported water pipeline project. So basically, that's a contractual item, and whereas between the 3 parties, the BLM, which will be the lead agency for the NEPA compliance, and the Groundwater Authority, basically we will be funding it, and the Provost and Pritchard Consulting Group will be the compliance consultant. And so basically just a formal contractual agreement between those 3 parties that the BLM requests, and so that was approved by the board. And that was it for the agenda items. Only other highlight I have is the well that I've been keeping you abreast of in Rose Valley, the one that was in rock, continued to be in rock, and finally they gave up because the rock layers were too deep, and so they're reassessing another site to drill that well. So that concludes my report. So unless you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I don't have any questions, but I think that there's a certain amount of a victory lap that you deserve. And I think that the public fails to understand how much work is going on behind the scenes on these things. And I can't recite the numbers off the top of my head, so I just, if you want to take a quick 2-minute victory lap, I certainly would welcome you to. I can't remember the numbers off that. I looked at them with you that night. I just can't remember them off the top of my head.
In regards to
The
financial numbers or
the numbers outside the state to moving out of SB 779.
So you're
that right?
you're referring to what went on in Sacramento?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Take a
basically,
little bit. I mean, people just don't realize how much we're advocating all the time on these issues, and I think
yeah. So we worked really hard. There were 3 assembly bills that were before the state Senate committee hearings and to be passed or not passed, and so myself and Director Chairman Peters from the Groundwater Authority went to Sacramento on a very quick notice and to testify on behalf of these bills for the Groundwater Authority at the state Senate hearings. And so there was Senate Bill 1205, or AB 1205, AB 560, and AB 779. And so basically these bills, 1205 was the one that I had attended. It pertained with, I'll just give you kind of the meat and potatoes of it. Basically, it was a bill that we're in the process of purchasing water that would have directly inhibited the Groundwater Authority's ability to purchase water from a private party, such as a farm that was being voluntarily repurposed to industrial use. And so it was a very important bill. 560 and 779 both pertain to the courts being, when they make a decision that they will report or take, basically the courts will make a decision on an adjudication, and the state DWR will be able to weigh in on whether or not it would negatively affect the groundwater sustainability plan and the ability of the groundwater agency to meet sustainability in the valley, so that information could then be taken into consideration from the judicial system before they make a final settlement, or not settlement, but finding on the case. So anyway, these were important pieces of legislation. I'm happy to say that all three of them fell in favor from the Groundwater Authority's perspective, and we were quite satisfied with the results. A lot of hard work went into it from a lot more people than just Director Peters and myself, and so my thanks to everybody that played an important role in seeing that through.
So I want to thank you for that, Doc. And the reason why I asked you to do that is there's a huge amount of sentiment that comes from the public to us about what the state is implementing and how it affects us. 1383, SGMA. It's not like there's been one or two things. There's been some very, very large things. And all that I'm trying to make sure that our citizens are hearing is how much we are now taking these strong advocacy roles, or trying to, from whether it be on water or whether it be for our courts. We're not just sitting on the sidelines. And I know that it might feel that way when there's disagreements or things that we don't see eye to eye on. But the simple fact is that I think we're very awake to the fact that we have to be advocates on behalf of our community. And while I never want to speak negatively about previous councils or about other council members, I think we just have a reinvigorated vision of what's important to Ridgecrest right now, and that's being an advocate for our citizens first and foremost at the state level, rather than sometimes being Hatfields and McCoys with each other.
Yeah, and I can concur with that 100%. The way I look at it is that it's very important for us to be proactive and carve out the results that we hope to achieve or see for our city, for our city, for the basin in general, not just on water, but in this. This goes back to where what you've done yourself when you've gone to Sacramento, and
I just want to give you full credit.
And so, because what I'm going to say is that if we're not up there carving it out, someone else is carving it out for them, and the end results may not be the best position or interest for this community. So we have to be extremely proactive, willing to go when needed and fight these battles, or otherwise you will take second place or third place. And so
I love to imagine if we had been able to put together a coalition of smaller communities back in 2016 to get the population threshold for 1383 to have been higher, how much it would have impacted so many small rural communities in the state of California.
And it takes
us being involved at the beginning.
Right, it takes foresight into not just what's going on right now and reacting off of it, but looking out to the future and setting yourself up to be in a position of prosperity.
Well, and to that end, Scott, just to add on what you were saying, I was just reading in the news that the Department of Water Resources is trimming their budget. They're having to cinch their belt because of the state budget, some $200 million. And that is being taken from projects that are in queue and future projects. And so that advocacy early on, that proactiveness was key to where we are today and getting us on the proper roadmap and showing the state and showing all the other stakeholders that we are willing to put the community first. We're willing to do what we need to do and get things done because the stakes are large. And I mean, and maybe this is a larger philosophical point, but it's always easy to scramble when things are at their worst, when things have gone wrong. But being proactive and getting in front of things like we've done, although it has not been easy, and it has been a rough road, I think that the future generations are going to be glad that we did.
They probably will never appreciate the amount of hard work
that
went on by the ones before them, but this is exactly what it takes. So you're right.
You're right. Just foresight and hard work.
Yep. And thank you for that. Okay. Any other comments from council? No? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close out. We are on to item number 11. Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Item number 11 is a resolution to approve the professional service agreement with Woodland Engineering for an amount not to exceed $578,021 for preliminary construction engineering services for the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Grant Project, and authorize the city manager to sign the agreement. Mr. Reed.
So let me step back into my normal role now. So what I have in front of you tonight is a contract for engineering support services, grant management services, preliminary engineering and construction engineering. We got awarded a $4,017,000 grant for the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Project. Within that project, we have updating to landscape and xeriscape at City Hall. We've got a bunch of ADA accessibility upgrades, 2 bus shelters, and construction of curb gutter, sidewalk, and drive approaches along various street stretches, street lighting, hybrid beacons, which I don't know if any of you guys know what those are, but they're a special signalized beacon that allows you to push a button. They flash, it stops traffic, so that way you can go across the street. We're going to utilize those in 4 locations.
Some of the same stuff
Say
we
the
discussed in
hospital.
infrastructure?
Huh?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Mayor. I was just saying, was this some of the same beacons we've discussed in the infrastructure committee meeting?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
Is this on just our roads?
Just on our roads, not on State Route 178. So these are going to go like in front of Los Flores School, in front of
That's these ones.
Monroe, a crossing, there's going to be a crossing at Felspar and Downs, a crossing at Felspar and Norma. So it's a way to safely get people across the road to interconnect the bike infrastructure that's going in with this project. We've got a little bit of right-of-way acquisition. We're lining a channel. We are also doing paving Felspar. So it's got quite a bit of improvements, and of that, it's the $578,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but for inspection services, preliminary engineering services, all the grant management stuff that Quinn and I and Levette cannot handle, it's a small portion of what the total of the project is. And when you look at what the project is paying for, the project has $394,000 that's covering these fees. So that's 68%. So of that, we're spending 3.7% of our budget towards engineering services, which is quite small when normally engineering is about 15 to 20% of the cost of the project. So with that, if anybody has any questions, Councilman Blades, you asked me a question earlier about why it looks like all the funds were coming from Measure V.
Yep.
So this works the same way as our typical grants do. So our typical grants, you get awarded a grant, you don't get the money up front. You have to spend the money first, and then it gets reimbursed. So we put an extra $1 million with this grant to go above and beyond out of Measure V for some of the road work that we're doing. And Measure V will be the basic major fronter. It fronts the road work, the curb and gutter, all because they're all infrastructure improvements to our road network. It fronts the cost, and then the grant reimburses it.
I understand that in principle. I guess I was just trying to wrap my head around the division between the buckets of money. You know, if we state in our data package that these are the projects we're working on, yet the funds are coming out of Measure V, I just wanted to make sure that was, Martin, you're okay with that? Cherie? Okay. That's all I needed was a head nod. I just want to make sure it was good.
They're all infrastructure-related items, so.
They are. It's just this doesn't quite fit into the bucket for me. So I'm understanding what you're saying, that we fronted that money and that came out of Measure V. So I understand. That's why I asked the question.
My question is even dumber. When did we get the grant? One
other comment to add to that is
Okay.
we did put out a RFQ, and for that RFQ, we got one response, and then staff did negotiate the cost with Willdan. We actually knocked a significant portion off what the original proposal was, so.
Yeah, I'm good. I knew this was coming. I've talked to Travis quite a bit about it, and I was around when we voted it in, so I understood it. I just want to make sure we're housekeeping correctly.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my stupid question. I mean, I'm very well aware of what grants and things that we've been working on, and so I'm kind of going, where did I miss that we got a $4 million grant?
We actually got awarded this grant 2 years ago, and it's been the process. This one's the one that's in conjunction with.
That explains it.
This is the one that was in conjunction with the affordable housing community, Mojave View.
This is the Mojave View.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is all the infrastructure
Thank you.
side we're finally working on to get.
Well, it's hard because when you say affordable housing, sustainable communities grant, we don't, up here, or at least from that coming this way, it's Mojave View. Okay, Roger, check. Got it.
It's in conjunction with the Mojave View project.
So the reason why I want always to make sure we know, sources of our grant money is for you guys. 3 years ago, no, 4 years ago.
It was, before you were.
I mean, I watched from the sidelines looking this way and heard, we don't want to see new affordable housing in our community, and then explaining to people, wait, hold on. As you build out the housing, which, by the way, Mojave View, as if I've heard properly, will be at near or at 100% occupancy upon opening. But on top of the housing that we were able to bring to the community, which is very, very good, everyone out there who's got that Section 8, vision on their head, I want you to remember every grandmother, every young engineer, every person that's out there that's looking for housing, every person that's out there that's in need of something. This adds to our inventory of housing and availability in our community, which is only good for our community. And then on top of that, we're doing $4 million worth of improvements into the community via grant money because we worked to allow affordable housing to be built. And with this, just rolling down some of these things that people don't quote unquote see, but when you experience them, you know them. How many people drove down China Lake Boulevard and saw the amount of road work that Travis had recently put in and trying to work on our ADA compliance and the number of returns and changes that have been made? Again, hey guys, news break. The city wasn't doing what it was supposed to with ADA, okay? Not that we were doing wrong, but we were just being slow because we didn't have the money from 2011 all the way up until we started finding ways to invigorate our community. We're going back and that's just pretty incredible when you think about construction of curb, gutter, sidewalk, drive approaches. I can't tell you how many people I've had that have come to me and said, when are you going to finish out this portion of sidewalk? When are you going to do this? When are you going to fix the raised one? When are you going to put ADA? When are you going to do this? Putting safety at the schools. Guys, we do one good thing for the community. There's positives that come as a result of it. And thank you, because I was going, how did I miss $4 million in grants? Now I know this is Mojave View. Thank you. Guys, this is realization of us investing in a community and what it's turning back into for the community. I want to take that and emphasize it even further because Mr. Holloway's in the crowd and Mr. Reeder here. Anybody who went out to our fireworks display noticed that parking lot went through quite a bit of improvement. And do you know how that improvement happened? Is because we took the roads that we were tearing up to fix, and we took them out there and we recycled them.
I think the big thing you're trying to say is we listen to the community through the conversation.
Well, we listen to the community through the conversation, but more importantly is that we take resources and we're constantly trying to find ways to make more resources happen for our community. One positive turns into a second positive, turns into a third positive. And we do it because we're actually using our noggins and looking outside of the box and thinking about the broader strokes. And so now that I know it's Mojave View, I'm even more excited because I was like, we got another $4 million? This is fantastic, but now it's Mojave View.
We are getting ready to apply for another Cal Recycle grant, though. A rubberized chip seal grant that it just came out that I'm probably going to go after. So
Go get me $50 million, I'll be thrilled.
So I'm not done asking questions, but I can wait until after public comment.
That was just that's just my council comment. We're in council comment. If you want to wait till after public comment, we can do it. But you want to do it now or you want to do it after?
I can wait.
Okay. Any other council comments?
I'm just really pleased to see this. I love the list. For the community, numerous new bike lane installations, street lighting, landscape, xeriscape, some of the more technical stuff, hot mixing, but channel concrete, soil cement lining, I don't know about that, but I'm sure it's good. But
wash.
But no, this is definitely what this city needs, and I'm glad to see it, and I think we need more of it.
Agreed. Okay, we'll now go to public comment. Is there any public comment from the floor? Seeing none. Is there any public comment on the phones? I see one. Caller, go ahead.
Hello.
Caller, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. My question is, how much of that work of all those projects coming in are going to be given to the local construction companies for the people from here of Ridgecrest?
So
Will they give some type of priority to the bidding, or do you guys already have the companies from outside?
Yeah, you can answer.
So all of our projects are competitively bid. We follow the Public Contracts Code, and we use Caltrans specifications for how we bid them. So if a local contractor has the bonding capability to bond a project of this size, they absolutely can bid on it. Or if they don't, they can reach out and look at, all of our projects have a plan holders list. They can get a plan holders list, and they can reach out to the primes to be a subcontractor to them.
Okay. And like for individual workers, is there some type of way that we could go and maybe join the companies that are already there, or they'll kind of say the spot for some of the people here? Because there's a lot of people coming in, especially for the military base from other places, and I see a lot of the local workers having to go out of the city to go work when there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, so sir, we're required to follow public code, and my answer to you is ask the contractors that are working, get involved in communication. I know that there's many different groups that are required, but we're required to follow certain bid standards. We're not going to have we would not have the means or way to do individuals, but we will obviously be working with any companies. And we're right on the edge of where I got to bring it back to what we're actually talking about, which is the contract. So thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other public comment on the phones or from the floor. We'll go ahead and bring it back to council. Mr. Blades?
Yeah, real quick, on your list of projects, Travis, do you believe through your estimates that you'll be able to cover all of those within the grant?
It's going to be real close. We added an extra $1 million to this project because I expanded some of the scope, added a couple of the hybrid beacons, added a couple, quite a little bit of distance of paving.
Sure.
So we added a little bit of extra funding to it, but in all preliminary estimates, based on what I've seen, it should be close, depending on, God willing, the market doesn't go crazy again, right? But we're going to do our very best, and if I got to cut a few little things here or there, we'll cut a few little things here. One of the big ones that we're going to do to save some money is it was in the grant to do what we call concrete line, a full concrete line of the channel right by Mojave View.
Yep.
I think we can achieve the same goal by doing soil cement, and it's about 30% of the cost.
Yep, you've discussed that before. It's a good
So-
idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're racking and stacking those. If something has to get cut, I'm sure that's a staff decision, but.
I can tell you this, I think the ones that are involved, children and their safety and bike infrastructure and things like that, those are going to be the furthest from ones that I would ever consider cutting.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. That was exactly what I was going to say. Hopefully those get bumped to the bottom of the list and other things get pushed down. Okay.
Yep. Good. With one more question, what's a general timeline?
So general timeline, where I think we're going to do a 120-day construction period, and my hope would be to put this out sometime in either early 24 or late 23. That's my goal for when I want to have this out to bid.
And we always do that just, again, so the citizens are aware of the number of projects and things that are coming, because that's another one.
Yep.
Another one just got racked and stacked on the beginning of 24.
Yep.
Late 23, beginning of 24. Yeah.
They're going to see asphalt start flying here again shortly. We've got more asphalt projects coming.
Okay.
So,
Any other council comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval of the resolution for professional services agreement with Weldon Engineering for 578-021 for engineering services for the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Grant Project?
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mayor Bruin,
Aye.
Mr. Blades.
Aye.
Mr. Rajaratnam.
Aye.
Mr. Heyman.
Aye.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Excellent. Okay, next item is item number 12. This is a public hearing item. We're going to go ahead and begin by, I'm going to read the public hearing item. I will then open the public hearing. Our public hearing item is item number 12. This is a public hearing for input to the City Council regarding requests from the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitors Bureau for council's adoption of a resolution of intention to renew the Ridgecrest Tourism Improvement District for the 2023 to 2033 and sunset the existing one. This is going to be presented by our city attorney, and I will go ahead and open the public hearing at this time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, council members. Very briefly, the city received a request from the Ridgecrest Area Convention and Visitor Bureau to sunset the existing tourism business district and to renew at a higher rate, adopt a one for the next 10 years. The law provides that there's a 3-step process. We are at step 2. The step 1 was adoption of the resolution of intention, which the council did on June 20th, I believe. Today is a first public hearing, and this public hearing is solely intended for the council to receive any public input regarding this issue at this time. There will be a follow-up public hearing and potential action on this by the council, either the second meeting in August or the first meeting in September. I don't remember.
the second in August.
It is the
August
second
16th.
meeting in
Second
August.
August.
Okay. So today, there's no action required. Simply, if there's anybody in the public that wishes to address you on this issue, this is the time to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead and open our public hearing. If there's any member of the public who would like to make comment, we would receive those comments now. Please feel free.
Okay.
Am I required to take it from the phone as well?
All right.
Okay, somebody's coming. Do I take phone as well, right? Yeah. We went ahead and flashed the phone number up there. We do have one public comment coming forward, and then the phone number is present.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Patel, and I own one of the smaller hotels in the city. I've been here since 2014, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to just bring up a couple other points as well, if that's allowed. I don't know the whole concept of increasing and sunsetting the old and go with the new one. But I think I attended the whole meeting, and there are a lot of comments. It says that everything is going up, everything is going up. And what we are trying to do over here is almost 100% increasing from what I know, the information, from what we are charging the thing. I own the hotel, so I'm all for it. But what I would like to know is how is it going to be distributed? What is this increase is going to, how is it going to help all the hotels equally? Because it is collected at every hotel. And only thing, like I said, I've been here since 2014. And only thing that what I got from my hotel, from the tourism department, was the pamphlet, the attraction nearby, and all those. And after the COVID, I haven't seen anybody coming in. So I would like to know how, I know I heard that there is a budget that I haven't seen, so that might be, some of my question might be addressed. But this is, I would like to know that when we are gonna increase this, is it really a need, and how is it gonna, bring more business to all the hotels, and is everyone equally beneficiary of that?
I can take that, Mayor, if you'd like.
That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Would it be all right to answer?
Do you want me to respond, or do you want to take all public comments and respond? Do you want to take all the comments in first? Yeah. Thank you, sir. Is there any other public comments from the floor? Is that your microphone? Is that your
Somebody's
walkie-talkie?
radio is
Somebody's
playing.
walkie-talkie. Is that yours?
He's on
Okay,
the
cool. I'm like, I reached for my phone. I'm looking for something. I'm
No,
like,
hearing
where is it? And now I just looked at you and I went, that's who it is. No, you protect you keep my family safe. You can have as many walkie-talkies as you like going off. That goes for you too. Notice I pointed to the cop and the fireman. Take care of my family, we're good. So I don't see any other public comment. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion of the hearing. I don't see any on the phone, and I'll let the city attorney go ahead and respond to the gentleman's comment.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, the city's role in this situation is simply a pass-through agency. The law provides that in order for the tourism district to be formed and rate charged, it has to, the collection has to occur through the city. City does not control what happens to the money. The money is given back to the Tourism Bureau. There is a 24-page plan that is attached to the agenda item, which explains in detail how that money that is being proposed to be charged will be spent. And that is, I would suggest, the best place to find
And
your
that's
answers.
available online.
Yeah.
If you go to the meeting record for this meeting, those materials are there online. I'm sure that the RACVB would be happy to provide you a copy if you'd like. Because really, we're the passer agency, they will control the direction from there. Thank you, sir. There will be a second public hearing. I apologize, Vanessa, I normally would not, I try not to be rude, but we've already closed the public comment and we've already closed the public hearing. There will be a second hearing, as they indicated, on 8/16. We're required to hold 2 public hearings. The second one will be held on August 16th in conjunction with the regular council meeting. Okay, so anybody who did not get an opportunity to make comment today and may want to make a comment in the future, this item will return on 8/16. That will be the second public hearing and then action. And then action following. Okay. Next is our committee reports. Committee reports. First is RACVB. Megan?
Hello. I just have a really quick report for you guys. We had a very quick meeting in the end of June. Bear with me while I find my little paper. Here we go. So we met on June 28th, and like I said, it was a pretty quick meeting. We discussed the presentation to council regarding the T-bid, which you just heard about from Martin. And then we also have some upcoming events coming up, a car show in September, the Petroglyph Festival, again, will be first weekend in November, and then the CCAP Industry Days will also be coming up. Other than that, the STAR report, the demand was up by 20%, which also led to a 7% increase in ADR, or annual, or average daily rate. Other than that, it was, like I said, a very quick meeting, so that was it.
Okay. Anything else for you for RACB? No? Okay. Next is finance. That is you and me, Doc. Yep. I have lots of little notes. You want to go, me? Why don't you go this time, and then I'll fill in.
Yeah, I'll lead off. So we did meet in the finance department. Primary discussion items were a revenue update, ARPA update, and quarterly investment report. Happy to say that the sales tax, they measure, or I'll just go one at a time, but the sales tax is showing good revenues on budget with the last 2 years. Measure V, same on target with the last 2 years, should exceed by a little over. And measure P, not a lot to report on at the moment. Things are looking well at this time, but it's still what in the follow through. And then with property taxes, we're just a little bit off, but on par with previous year. So overall, all those areas look good on the finance end of it. So I don't know if you have anything particular you want to
I have a couple small things.
chime in there with.
So the first one is, I think people have a lot of things that they may or may not understand about how city finances, how sales tax revenue, how all these things happen. And I just wanted to, kind of once again, put that into perspective for people. Our sales tax base, which is what we get from the state, okay? That base, okay? If you took the year over year is making a slow but steady increase, but it's slow and it doesn't go wild. And more importantly is the more online purchases are made with the Wayfair decision, the more sales tax revenue that actually doesn't get paid to the city of Ridgecrest, but actually gets paid to the point of distribution for that online sale. Excuse me, a lot of people don't understand that, but there's a reason why you see massive distribution centers being built up in certain cities because it's a very, very significant sales tax benefit. Well, the reason why I wanted to put that in point is Measure V and Measure P, both which are now demonstrating it, that can't be cut into. And so whatever that 1% is on that sales tax order, that is coming to us straight. Nobody's getting a chance to chop off any portion of that. And right now we are getting that full 2% from Measure P and Measure V. And the difference, and this is just for numbers, right? So our budget for regular sales tax was about 4.3 million, and we're on budget to hit that. Our budget for Measure V was 5.9 million, and we're set to exceed that closer to 6.7 million. Now, one is the exact same amount of money coming from the state, and one is a 1% dedicated sales tax revenue to the city. Why would there be such a disparity? Because of how much sales tax gets diverted out of Ridgecrest for online sales based on distribution. We're going to bring this back to you guys and try and share it with you in the future and talk about it, but I just wanted to put that in perspective. Measure V, 6.7 million compared to 4.3 million. That's how important our self-sustaining sales tax revenue is. Couple other quick notes. We have an ARPA list. And as you guys know, we've been steadily moving through those ARPA items. And I got two kind of fun things that, make me smile that happened. And the first was I found a way to get more money to IT, which always makes me smile and is always fun and a joke in this place. And one of the suggestions that we'd like to bring to council at a future meeting from finance is we still have close to $750,000 of unallocated ARPA projects. And the IT firewalls that were discussed at the budget session would absolutely fall right into the heart of the ARPA project needs.
Oh, yeah, I bet it does.
I didn't bring this up.
I did.
I'm not the one that brought this up.
Cherie, does this check out?
Yeah, it's Doc.
Yeah,
It was Doc, not me.
I'll take credit for this.
But the idea is in terms of keeping our IT that is doing so much, restructure work right now with the wiring, and we just saw in the budget how much work they put in, that I'd like the council to consider at a future meeting bringing the firewalls under the ARPA umbrella so that we can let them go ahead and move forward with that rather than waiting for another budget cycle.
And timing is of essence with it. And so.
Yeah, costs only can go up
If you
on-
remember back with the meeting that we did have where Matt was giving us his projections that he need for the IT department, he said he could have that done within the time limitations that we have with ARPA, so.
And it would be one more key project completed and out of the general budget, but rather under ARPA. And then the other one is just a goofy one, but it means something to me, and I hope it means something to you as citizens. But we get a report, and like every dollar that goes through the city, it has to go into a bucket, and that bucket has to be accounted for. Like everything, every dollar the city spends, it takes in or it spends out has to be allocated through our budget and through buckets. And for the last, as long as I've sat on this council, every year our accounting department, our finance director has been complimented for all the good work they've done in managing this, and I compliment them. But then they put a number on here that just made me smile. And it was 51582, and it was interest earnings on the ARPA money. And up until, I know we earned, but we didn't think of stagnant money as something that needed to be put into active use. And since we did that and we reaffirmed the investment policy in the consent agenda today, which was great, I just want the public to think about $51,582. That's money that we found by just being a little bit more aggressive with how we understand the use and stagnation of money. And so compliments to you, Sherry. I get excited to see that. It's found money by putting ourselves in the right smart position rather than the dumb position. And I can't help myself. Sorry, I'm going to do something I shouldn't do, but I'm sitting up here on this dais, I'm looking at Chip Holloway, and I'm remembering the bills in 2013 that we brought to this council saying, refinance the bonds while they're at 0%, refinance the bonds while they're at 0%, refinance the bonds while they're at 0%. Thank God this council refinanced those bonds in 2019. Because if we were talking about refinancing the pension bonds and all the structuring we did in today's interest rate environment, yuck. That's all I'll say.
So
yuck.
I just want to add that, looking at the what was just gone over today about the status of the overall finances of the city, I just want to concur and keep bringing up that, many years back, we were in the red. We were not in a good financial position. Cherie took over the finances. We have pulled from the bottom of a study that was, performed where we were down at the bottom of the group of, I don't have the numbers, but it was in the several hundreds of cities, right? And we were down at the bottom. Now we're in the top 15%.
Even higher than that, I think.
Maybe higher. And that this trend continues to move that direction. And so that's really important to look at in the overall status of the financial state of the city.
And
so
then,
congratulations, Sherry, and continued good job. So
and piggybacking on what you said, that was good financial management, but there's one other key component, and that is that our citizens agreed to invest in this community in those two sales tax measures. Because if we don't have the support of our citizens, we don't have the abilities that we have right now to see the amount of road work, the amount of other things. You, the citizens, you always say, what happens with my tax dollars? This is an example of what's happening with your tax dollars.
yeah, it's two of the strongest funding engines for the finance department.
But the health of the city as a whole is coming from that, so.
So, Mr. Mayor, I have to ask, as you're racking and stacking your ARPA projects,
Bring it on.
how are you? I'm just wondering.
waiting for this one.
I'm just wondering. There's some things on there that could be shuffled.
That you mean
And so
shuffled on or
I'm
off?
just saying, how are you gonna? Where are we gonna discuss this? Is all that I'm asking.
Oh, we would come back to council.
Okay.
I mean, to be very clear, this is just a,
And that's why I phrased it that way, Martin. I saw you going
Yeah.
for the mic.
yeah, this is just a suggestion to come back for a future item.
Yeah.
But I would certainly say and welcome if you want us to have a larger conversation about some other items coming back on ARPA. And the council member has, we still have a couple projects that are hiding out there. I've just been hesitant to bring another one forward on Narissa until some others got cleared.
Oh, Narissa can always handle more work. I'm being light with it. I just wanted to have the discussion. No worries.
It'll come back to council.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll come back to council for a larger discussion again.
All right.
Any other questions for finance? Then we don't have anything else. I don't think there's anything else.
There's nothing else. And other committees, I have KernCog coming up. No,
hold
that's
on,
not.
we have-
They're quiet this month, so that's next month.
No. Oh. Can I just mental note again for the city org that our next meeting is on August 3rd, and as I discussed earlier, we will be having a performance-based conversation with Waste Management, and we would invite anybody who would like to have that conversation to join us. That's on the 3rd. Other boards, committees, or commissions? I know you mentioned KernCog.
KernCog is quiet this month, so that'll go to next month. I have East Kern Air Pollution, but that's not until after our next meeting, so.
Okay. And you know others? Oh.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may add something to the last item that the council received a
Finance?
public hearing on. Just want to make sure that it is understood that at the next public hearing will be the time where a vote would be taken by the members of the district and in favor or actually opposed to the proposed T-bid. And if the vote is over 50% based on ownership, then.
So just to clarify, I thought that vote has already occurred.
No.
In order to get to this stage.
The last public hearing is the time where either a written or an oral vote can be submitted and will be counted by the city.
Okay.
Just wanted to be sure that everybody's clear on that.
Okay.
Understood.
So that's when they would bring back evidence of the majority.
Any member of the district or any hotel owner in the city that is affected will be
would have
assessed,
their vote.
will have the opportunity to protest.
Okay,
If the protest
understood.
is over 50%, then
Then
the
it's-
council can take action
Understood.
on a weighted scale, not on numbers, right?
So the communication again is that next hearing on the 16th is the next opportunity to really, if there are any concerns. And city manager report?
Got nothing.
Got nothing. His first opportunity, got their second opportunity, got nothing. Future agenda items, is there anything that you want put on the future agenda items, Mr. Blades?
Well, you already discussed it. I was hoping to do a town hall, but if you guys have already talked with the staff and staff's working it out, then I guess I don't need to worry about it.
Yeah, we are working towards a we'll have 2 meetings in August, hopefully, and the town hall will hopefully be in August. And I hope I can ask you to moderate yet again as you have.
I'd be proud to. I've dug pretty deep. I'd be proud to.
And we thank you for that, sir.
Yep.
Mayor and council comments. We'll go ahead and start left to right. We'll give Mr. Blades the first shot.
Oh, already. So are you? No, I was getting out my pen because I had actually made some notes, but I think throughout the night I've said most of what I needed to say. That is that I am glad to be back. I am sorry that I missed the last meeting because it did turn into a contentious meeting, and I think that my insight and what I've, and at least my trials thus far on the council I could have helped out with some of those answers, and you guys didn't have that, so I felt like I let you down a little bit. We have a duty up here to make the right decision for the council, and I don't think I need to explain that to folks, but I need to reemphasize it because none of us are voted in to be pulled from one side to the next on a whim. I mean, if you look at the way any election system is set up, if you look at senators, you look at Supreme Courts, there's a reason why there's a separation. There's a reason why there's party systems, and it's so that your representatives can make the best decision for you possible. Now, I'm not saying that always happens at levels above us, and I'm not saying that we can always have the insight that we have at this local level. So, but what I can say is that at least thus far, what I've seen in this council and what I've tried to do is to make the very best decision I possibly can, no matter what the agenda item is. It could be Travis briefing roads. It could be the affordable housing. When that came up, I cast a vote on that, and I was proud to do it because I was very much in favor of it. And that's our job. We deliberate. We take evidence from the public. We get with the staff, and we make the best decision we can. And when it comes to things like trash, like software programs, whatever that thing is, they're not done lightly up here. I can't speak for the rest of them, but I know me, when I first got on this council, I lost a lot of sleep. I don't know about, I mean, Chip, I don't know if you did, but I know I did. For at least that first year, I lost a lot of sleep, sweating about how things were going to go, what the future impact was going to be. And so I won't drone on too much. I just need to re-emphasize that for the public, is that I take all these decisions very seriously, every single one of them. And I know that other boards and commissions do too. And I just want people to understand that none of this is done. None of this is done easily. The second thing is, I'm very much in favor of decorum. I am one for decorum. It means a lot to me. I'm proud to sit in this seat. I think that the way you present yourself to the public, the way we deal with the public, the way we dress, the way we communicate with the media, with the staff, with the police, with the fire department, those all mean a lot, because I believe, and I expected it as a citizen and as a voter, I expect that of my representatives. And what you saw earlier was a contention between myself and a member of the public. I'm not going to, in this one specific case, I won't apologize for it, because there are cases where you can't be bullied any further up here. And that's, at some point, there's no reason for it. But I don't like stepping out of showing that decorum, and I had to. I don't apologize for it, because I think that I would like to think that the rest of you, if you're being bullied, it's the same thing. You don't accept it. And the only thing that I'll add on to that is I've said this before to the public, and I want to re-emphasize it, that we are here as lightning rods. We are here to take criticism. It is part of our job. We should, and that's the way it is. We're also here to be educated and give you back any information that you could possibly need. Please never go after the staff, because that's never something that I'm going to take lightly either. I don't mind taking criticism, but when the staff gets criticized, that's something that I'm going to jump to their defense every time. There's mechanisms for us if there is actual true issues with the staff, and we'll deal with those. But I watched in the last meeting our staff take a beating, and it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was appropriate. So I didn't mean to jump right off with the public, with the comments in some sort of negative tone, because what I do think is that the last meeting brought up a lot of it highlighted a lot of issues and contentions that the public had, and those needed to be brought up. Because I think contacting us individually, maybe it just wasn't enough and it needed to reach a boiling point. And so I do appreciate that. And I like that the staff is going to engage with the town hall. I'm proud that I'm going to be a part of it. And I look forward to any input anybody has. I yield my time, Mr. Mayor.
Solomon?
I'm really proud to be part of this council. So we have the same goals, though we might be looking things in a different way. So, but we always work for the betterment of this community. That has been the goal for us since the beginning. And what else? Something came to my mind. I forgot.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Always believed in having open discussion, and that's how we get to know what is happening and how we can solve the problems our community is having. So waste management is one of the issues we are facing right now. So we are determined to solve the problem. We are determined to make sure, as your elected representatives, that waste management would provide the best service to this community. So. And again, I want to thank the staff, especially Mr. Reed, Ms. Sherry Fries, Larissa Wagner, for their hard work. So you guys do a good job and make us proud. Thank you very much.
Mr. Raymond?
Yeah, I'm just going to concur. I'm really, it's an honor to sit at this dais with the other members of this council, and I have 100% confidence in everybody's abilities and work and their commitment to what we do up here. It's not easy, like Councilman Blades brought up. We do have to be put, on the spot, and it's not all good all the time. And I'd like to welcome Travis into that seat over there, and being part of the, yeah. So it's a tremendous honor to be up here doing what we do for the city, and it is a true volunteerism. So,
Is it?
yep.
I would obviously reiterate some of the many comments of our council. This was fun. I always say, if you're not having fun at this, then you really shouldn't be doing it. And I have a lot more fun than I probably should at this. I thought I want to reiterate, your guys' words and everything that we kind of went through. But Mr. Blades, I think you really hit a big nail on the head, and that's we are up here to hear our citizens. We hear them every day. We interact with you. We get emails. We get letters in the mail. We get Facebook posts. We get messengers. We've dedicated ourselves to communication that we get a lot of your feedback. But it is not the position or the decorum of a citizen to dictate to this council. And I apologize, but if you're going to come up to speak and you're going to tell us what we are or are not going to do, I'm not so sure how good that strategy is. That's all I'll say on that. I'm not so sure how wise a strategy that is. I know that the Placer AI conversation has been going back and forth. I personally support Placer AI. I have no problem to say it. I'm going to follow through with exactly our commitment, which is to bring it back for a council discussion, as we've said. Hopefully, during that council discussion, we can find unified positions on how we feel about it, and then we'll take action forward. But the last thing I'm going to do is be told what I am or am not going to do by a citizen. And especially when, especially if that citizen should ever involve our family, our livelihood, or our careers, they're really going to hit a stone wall. So let's talk about the fun stuff. First, I want to thank everyone who's been out there. I want to remind everyone that we have cooling zones open here at the Kerr McGee Center. It is hot out there. Please be smart. If you're having a challenge, come down and rest. Make a phone call. Ask one of our community groups. If there's anything we all know about Ridgecrest is incredible in its heart and its soul and what it tries to do for its people. And if you are having a challenge out there because of the heat, please, the first thing to do is to open your mouth and ask for help. You'd be amazed at the resources that are there. I want to address Ms. Weston and the article in the DI regarding the courts. Thank you for continuing the coverage for us, Jessica. The court issue is far, far, far from done, but we are now into the political sides of the issue. We made a very good case. We've been heard in Bakersfield. We've been heard in Sacramento. I always try to put the emphasis on thinking about how you would react to something. And we are very accustomed to getting public comment up here, and sometimes it's good public comment, and sometimes it's interesting public comment, and sometimes it's very aggressive public comment. But the key is we're very accustomed to it. And I just wanted to share a story that the California Judicial Council, when we spoke to them in person. We're going to continue to speak to them in person. But they literally were fully and completely unprepared for anybody to make public comment of any kind. And that should tell you how important our presence and comments were. We are not sitting on this one. We are advocating, and that's why I talked about the advocacy earlier and was complimenting Mr. Heyman and his work, and Mr. Strand is already talking about potentially going up and for another meeting. We're not going to sit back, and we're going to take this fight to wherever it takes. And when we think about fights, I want to go ahead and offer my thanks, my congratulations, and more importantly, just being a stubborn but hard-headed, determined person, and that's Senator Shannon Grove. And her efforts in human trafficking and getting the reversal and getting it passed out of Assembly today, 6-0, after this Democratic legislation voted it down and didn't want to take action on preventing human trafficking from being a true felony. Thank you, Shannon, for being a fighter. Thank you for fighting for kids, youth, and more importantly, what's right. Thank you for doing that. I do appreciate it. You are stubborn, but that's why, we appreciate fighters like that. I want to invite the community to a couple really important events coming up. Once again, our next council meeting is on the 2nd of August, and we'll be having that city org meeting on the 3rd. As you heard, we have the second public meeting on the RTID on the 16th of August. And then we are working towards a couple other important events. The first is August 5th. I would like to invite is that right? 5th? Yes, 5th. Is the Lions 75th anniversary dinner. This is a big monumental moment for them. The Lions single-handedly worked to provide the fireworks to this community for over 25 years, and they've been a part of our community. And I invite everyone to join us in that celebration. And then finally, everyone knows, so it's not like I can't say it, but my good friend, Mr. Holloway, and my mentor, has been working very hard on something for many, many years to bring it to this community. And he's finally pulled it off. But it's going to take us making sure that we appreciate the amount of effort that went into making it happen when we get to the fair in October. And that is called Tunnels to Towers. And if you haven't heard about it, it is a exhibit that we are bringing, or hoping to bring. Is it bringing or hoping to bring? It's bringing to the Desert Empire Fair. And it is an opportunity to both honor and also preserve and to see and educate our community on 9/11. We are an incredible community when it comes to honoring 9/11 every year with our parade of flags. This is just another example of that. In April, I hope that you work with Mr. Holloway and get as many of our students. Hey, tell the teachers extra credit is being handed out like candy this week, and do everything possible to get our kids and our youth. This is a unique opportunity that I know he's worked on for 5 years to get it. More importantly, we need help. He needs help making the cost of it offset. I would strongly encourage you to consider making a donation there. He'll have details. He's got flyers. And I'm sure he's going to have it up on social media and at different events. But really think about this: is how important is it to preserve and educate the children of the next generation that didn't experience the morning of September 11th the same way we did as adults. I know when I was experienced, I was 22 years old. I was living in a one-bedroom apartment in the San Fernando Valley, unmarried, no kids, and my perspective on it is entirely different 25 years later, or 22 years later, sorry. But the one thing I never forget is that in that moment, me reaching into a closet and grabbing one of my Eagle Scout flags that I was given when I made Eagle Scout and putting it up at my office on that morning because I wanted to represent how important it was to be an American and what the importance of that day was in representing our citizens and everyone who sacrificed and lost their lives in that day, especially our brave first responders. So I encourage you to get involved. And then more importantly, come out to the fairgrounds, see it, appreciate it, and April, I know you'll get it out to the students. So with that, I've covered all of my things other than to say I wish you all a wonderful evening, a great night, stay cool, and we will see you again on the 2nd. Good night.